I absolutely tell everybody all the time, getting in the water with them is incredibly dangerous.
Yeah.
Don't get in the water with them. Usually, when they're on the bottom like that, they are pretty calm. But if they're not, man, you can die so fast. And even if it didn't rip you in half, let's just say he just bit your leg,
right?
And he just held on, and then he just sat there. He can hold his breath 6 hours. What do you got?
Right. 60 seconds.
So literally, if he wants to, he can just grab and just sit there. And then you're just going to drown.
Oh my God.
So that's why I try to tell people.
What do you do if they do clamp down on you?
So if you have the presence of mind, okay, that's the thing, right? How much presence of mind are you going to retain while you're getting ripped to pieces? So I get people all the time like, what do I do? And a lot of people ask me that because they want to put themselves in stupid situations they're not prepared for.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like a self-defense class where you're going to teach somebody something just enough to give them the confidence to get themselves hurt. You know what I mean? So I'll tell you, but I'm just saying that I want to put that out first. Please don't take this as for people watching, they're like, I know what to do now. I heard this on a podcast. I'm going to jump in the water.
Right.
I'm a pro. Please don't, So if you were to be grabbed, you have the presence of mind. What the animal does depends on why did it bite you. And I mean that, why did it bite you? They don't just bite to bite, So is he biting you because he's been fed and it's a feeding response? Is he biting you because you're getting too close and you're pissing him off? It's defensive. Is he biting you because you're near, if it's a female, it's babies, or does it see you as prey, And then if it does see you as prey, is it apprehensive about you as prey, or is it confident? Because that makes a huge difference too. So a lot of times if somebody's in the water, and an alligator sees them as potential prey, or a crocodile. Well, to back up for a second, what usually happens if you're in the water and they're on the surface, his eye's sticking up like an inch above the surface. They're very low profile. So if he's looking at you as a swimmer on the surface, all he sees is your head and your arms flapping. Mm-hmm. You're a funny looking duck, man. You look like small prey. So from his perspective, you are small prey. So that's why even alligators, they don't typically see people as prey. They will come right to rip your head off because he thinks your head is all you are. And so I've had him do that to me in the wild. And if you're in water, a lot of Florida is very shallow. Yeah. So I've had him coming right at me, and then you just stand up, and they just even chest high, and they're like, "Oh, whoa, that is not."
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they back off immediately because they're like, "That's not what I thought it was." Oh, so a lot of it really is they think your head is all you are, and then your arms flapping. So a lot of times that's why I say don't go swimming, in the waters and lakes in Florida, because if they just see your head, man, they're going even as small. I've had 5-foot gators, smaller than I am, come right from my head because they think that's what it is. It looks like a duck, and then you just stand up and they're like, oh, whoa, that's way bigger than I thought it was.
Right.
So a lot of times you can get them to back off just by acknowledging their presence, looking right at them, standing up, going upright, and then they realize, oh, that's not what I thought it was. So a lot of it is like a misperception, Now let's say it's not. Let's say it's a really big gator. He doesn't care. He's coming in. Now, usually they are actually, they're smart, and they are apprehensive about novel things. They're nervous. They're like, I don't know what this is. So I'm going to move with some care. And so if you get grabbed, a lot of times you just turn around and you punch them right in the face, like in the eye, in the nose. A lot of times they will release because they're a little nervous. And I know it sounds crazy. It really is though, because they're not sure what you are and they're investigating. Investigatoring,
Investigatoring.
So they're trying to figure out, are you prey? And a lot of times if you do hit them, a lot of times they'll back off because they're like, oh, whoa, this thing fights. I don't know what it is. I'm not really sure yet. And so they're afraid. Now, that's not because you're hurting it. It's because you're scaring it.
Right.
You can't hurt it.
Right.
That's the thing.
Those things have a very high pain tolerance.
That's the point. That's exactly. So that's what I'm escalating towards is you are not hurting it, you're scaring it. Because if it is not afraid of you, or if it's defensive bite where it's fighting for its life and it thinks you're trying to kill it, it's not letting go. I don't care what you do. I know guys have been bit, start stabbing it with a knife, shoot it in the head. If you're not rupturing the brain case, it's not letting go. That's what I'm saying. So it's crazy. I've heard some crazy stories like that, and I'm like, that's why I tell people, if it really wants you, there's nothing you can physically do as a human. So best case scenario is it's just curious about you. You hit it in the eyes, you hit it in the nose, and that is sensitive. It does cause pain. They feel pain. It's not like they don't feel it, but they can choose to ignore it. So if you give it some pain, as you scare it, a lot of times they'll back off. But if it's defensive or if it's really big and very confident, you got nothing. You're not gonna be able to inflate. Even if you have a knife, you're not gonna do anything. You can put it right through his eye. He's not gonna let go. Right. If you see them when they fight each other, arm ripped right off. They don't flinch.
Yeah.
Arm off.
They just twist each other's arms off like nothing.
And they don't flinch. You know, so that's what I mean. It depends on what his motivation. Why is he biting you? You know? So what will work, the one thing that will work all the time, and this is like, it's kind of cool because as far as I know, I kind of came up with this technique. It's what I call flooding them. So at the back of the mouth, they have the palatal valve. You have palatal valve too. Same reason you can be underwater, open your mouth, you don't immediately drown, right? So, but yours is like back here. Theirs is right there at the back. So that's why when their mouth opens, it just kind of ends right here.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So if you pry that down, it floods them. The water goes in, they are immediately drowning. Yes, it works every time. So that's what's foolproof. But that means you got to get something in there. So
if you're already in there, if they're on your shoulder and your arm's in there, you can just hold that thing down.
Yeah,
and they'll open
it's
up.
Immediately going to let go because now he's drowning. Yeah. So if he's got one arm, you put your other arm in there. Now the problem is,
he's got to be in the water though.
Yes. Yeah. So if you're on land, this is going to work. Now I have done it on land with a hose because I've had them get stuff like working in captivity. I've worked at tourism parks, you know, all through my 20s and everything, and you always get some jerk that like throws a water bottle at them. You know, like people are just hate him, you know? So they throw like stuff at him. And if they think it's food, you know, like you throw a water ball at his head and he's like, oh, what is that? And they eat it and they get stuck. It blocks them. It can kill them. It can block their intestinal tract. You know, so I've had him get water bottles and stuff like that on land, and I jump on the alligator's back and have one of my friends bring over a hose and we like pry it and like get the hose into the gap back here. And as soon as you get the hose past the valve, turn on the water, immediately lets go.
No way.
So I've done it on land. I've done it in the water like that, you know, so that works every time. So that's the one thing. But just imagine like he's got this arm, so you shove your other arm in there to try to pry it open, but before you get to the valve, he rolls and both arms are gone. Yeah, so I'm not saying it's like something that you should take as like, I know what to do.
Right, yeah. It's not a get out of jail free card by any means.
Yeah.
But so when they hunt, do they hunt on the surface, below, all of the above?
All the above.
Because I've never heard of somebody, obviously if they're going to bite a human, 99.9% of the time, I'm sure it's on the surface of the water or by the shore. So it's not underwater, right?
So usually if a human's getting bit, it's because they're feeding it, you know, or somebody else had fed the animal, gets it to associate people with food. They're naturally afraid of us, like I was saying, you know? So like they really want nothing to do with us for the most part, unless somebody's illegally been feeding it, you know, and then it will see you as prey. So usually it is somebody on the shore, either they're feeding it or somebody else had been feeding it, that kind of a thing, you know? So on the surface, they hunt like that, you know, and they will track prey on the surface or perceived prey, like your head if you're a swimmer, you know, or like ducks and stuff like that. Right. Underwater, what they usually do is they ambush. So they sit totally still with their mouth wide open and that palatal valve closed, and they just wait for stuff to bump into them.
Oh, and
so they'll sit purposefully at like culvert pipes or any kind of bottleneck where the water has to come together, and they just sit there like this right into the flowing water and wait for fish to come through that are caught up in the current. Wow. It's really cool. They're really smart, you know, and they just sit there and chill like that.
That's crazy.
Now, if you were to step on one like that, obviously that's how you can get bit too.
Right.